November 2nd, 2020, Nassau, Bahamas. 3 days after the funeral, Jason Connery stood in his father's study, surrounded by silence so heavy it felt like drowning. And then he saw it. On the mahogany desk, a leather-bound box, weathered and dark. On top, a yellowed piece of paper, his father's handwriting unmistakable. For Jason, "Do not open until I'm gone." The 57-year-old man sank into the chair. His hands trembled, because what was inside that box would rewrite everything he thought he knew about the man the world called James Bond. But nobody could have predicted it, not even Jason. They say Sean Connery died peacefully in his sleep on October 31st, 2020, at age 90. The obituaries called him a legend. They spoke of dementia, old age, a life well lived. But they didn't mention the box. Jason hadn't known it existed. For 3 days he'd wandered through his father's home like a stranger, touching things that now felt like relics. The golf clubs, the books, the framed photographs of a younger Sean, smiling that famous half-smile. But the smile always looked hollow. Even as a child, Jason had sensed it. His father was there, but not really there. Present in body, absent in soul. "He loved you," his stepmother Micheline had told him at the funeral. He just didn't know how to show it. Jason had nodded. He'd heard that line before. Everyone had a theory about why Sean Connery kept the world at arm's length, why even his own son felt like he was always standing outside, looking in. The note on top was dated September 15th, 2020, 6 weeks before his father died. Sean had known the end was coming, and he'd prepared this. Jason hesitated, because once he opened it, there was no going back. He took a breath and opened the box. The first thing he saw was a photograph, black and white, faded. A young man, maybe 17, standing on a cobblestone street. Behind him, the gray buildings of Edinburgh. The year, written on the back, 1947. The young man wasn't smiling, his clothes shabby, a worn jacket too big, pants that had seen better days. In his hands, a glass milk bottle. This was his father. Before Bond, before Hollywood, before everything. This was Tommy Connery, the milkman's son who slept in a bureau drawer because his parents couldn't afford a crib. Beneath the photo, an envelope, sealed, Jason's name written on it. His heart pounded as he opened it. Inside, a letter from his father. "Jason, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and it's time you knew." What Jason read would shake him to his core, because his father wasn't just leaving a message, he was leaving a confession, a secret that had haunted Sean Connery for over 70 years. The letter was 3 pages, handwritten in blue ink, but the words were shaky, uneven. The ink smudged in places, as if he'd been writing with trembling hands, or crying. "I've spent my whole life running, from Edinburgh, from poverty, from the man I was before I became Sean Connery. I changed my name, changed my accent, changed everything because I wanted to be someone else, someone worthy. But I never stopped being that scared kid from Fountainbridge. I hated my father for what he did to us, and I swore I'd never be like him. But son, I was worse." Jason's hands froze, his eyes blurred. "I was worse because I had everything he didn't. Money, success, the world at my feet. And I still couldn't give you what you needed. I couldn't give you a father. I gave you a ghost, a man who was always somewhere else. Your mother was right about me." Diane saw through the mask. She knew I was broken. The truth is, I was terrified. Terrified that if I let you close, you'd see what I really was. Not James Bond, not the hero, Just Tommy, the scared little boy who never grew up. Jason set the letter down, pressed his palms against his eyes. His throat burned. This was his father, raw, vulnerable, real. The letter continued. There's something else, something I've never told anyone. In the box, you'll find a second photograph. Jason reached back. Sure enough, beneath the first photo was another, even older, brittle and brown. Two boys, maybe 7 and 8, standing in front of a brick building. One was clearly Sean. The other had darker hair, smiling, his arm over young Sean's shoulder. On the back, Tommy and Davey, 1937. Who was Davey? His name was David McLean, my best friend, the only person who didn't treat me like dirt. We were brothers. When we were 8, we made a pact. Blood brothers. We cut our palms with broken glass, let the blood mix. We swore we'd always look out for each other. I broke that promise. Jason couldn't breathe. In 1943, when I was 13, Davey got sick, tuberculosis, a death sentence in our neighborhood. His family couldn't afford a doctor. I watched him waste away, week by week, thinner, weaker. I begged my father for help, but he laughed, said it wasn't our problem, said Davey was going to die anyway. I hated him for that. But I didn't do anything. I just watched while my best friend died. And when he was gone, I promised myself I'd never be weak again, never let anyone matter enough to hurt me. So I ran, joined the Navy at 16, left Edinburgh, changed my name, became someone else. But I never forgot Davey, never forgave myself, and I've carried that guilt every single day of my life. The letter wasn't finished. When you were born, Jason, I looked at you and saw Davey. That same innocence, that same trust. And I was terrified because I knew what happened to people I loved. They got hurt. They died. So I kept you at a distance, told myself it was to protect you. But I was lying. I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting me. I was so afraid of failing you the way I failed Davey that I ended up failing you anyway. But even after the divorce, even after all those years of silence, I never stopped watching you. Every time you acted, I watched. Every time you directed, I was there in the audience, in the back where you wouldn't see me. But I was just too much of a coward to face you. And now, I'm out of time. Tears streamed down Jason's face, all those years, all that distance, and his father had been watching, caring, suffering. There's one more thing in the box. Jason reached in. At the bottom, wrapped in tissue, was a pocket watch, old tarnished silver. On the back, DM 1943, Davey McLean. The watch face cracked, the hands frozen at 3:47. Davey's mother gave me this after he died, said he wanted me to have it. I've carried it ever since, through every film, every Bond movie. It was in my pocket the night I won my Oscar, the night I got knighted. It's been my reminder, my punishment, my penance. But now I'm giving it to you, not as a burden, but as a promise. Jason, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't the father you needed, but every single day I was proud of you. Every moment I loved you. I just didn't know how to say it. So I'm saying it now. I love you, son. I always have. I always will. And I'm sorry it took dying to tell you the truth. Live better than I did. Love better. Don't let the past steal your future. It's never too late to keep a promise. I kept mine. I'm telling you now, I love you, Dad. Jason sat in that study for 3 hours, read the letter 7 times, held the watch until his fingers went numb, and cried. For the father he'd lost, for the man behind the mask who'd spent his life running from guilt that was never his to carry. His father had blamed himself for Davey's death. Let that guilt shape every relationship, every choice. Pushed away the people he loved because he was terrified of losing them. But he'd left the key. This box, this letter, his final act of courage, to finally tell the truth. 2 weeks later, Jason traveled to Scotland, to Fountainbridge. The neighborhood had changed, the old tenements gone, but he found the cemetery, found Davey McLean's grave, small, weathered. David McLean, 1930 to 1943, beloved son and friend. Jason knelt, placed the pocket watch on the headstone, and spoke to Davey, to his father, to the ghosts. He never forgot you. He carried you with him, every day, every step, and he wanted you to know he's sorry. He's sorry he couldn't save you, but he came back. In the end, he came back. Jason stood, wiped his eyes, and made a promise of his own. I'll do better. I'll live better, love better. I won't make his mistakes. I'll keep the promise. And he did. Jason reconnected with friends, reached out to family, started saying the words he'd been too afraid to say. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm here. The words his father never could. The box still sits in Jason's home. Sometimes, late at night, he opens it, reads the letter, remembers. And when people ask about his father, about Sean Connery, about the legend who played James Bond, Jason tells them the truth. He was complicated, flawed. He hurt people. He hurt me. But he loved me. I know that now. He loved me the best way he knew how. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. The box was his father's final gift, his final act of love, a promise, because his father taught him one final lesson. It's never too late to keep a promise, even if it takes a lifetime, even if it takes dying to tell the truth. Sean Connery left this world on October 31st, 2020, but he didn't leave silently. He left with words his son had waited his whole life to hear. I love you. And Jason finally heard them, through a box, a letter, a confession, through the bravest thing his father ever did, telling the truth.